Coming up on the pod, we've got Cannabis Keenan back in studio and a very special guest all the way from the Big Apple, New York City. We've got our good friend Michigan Mike. Let's run the theme.
If you want a movie review, look no further than these dudes. You got Real Buzz Rob on the mic, you got Cannabis Keenan, he's alright. Caitlin is giving all she can give, and Calvin doesn't even know where he is. This is Real Buzz Takes with the Real Buzz crew.
Welcome to another edition of Real Buzz Takes. We are the Real Buzzed crew. I'm Real Buzz Rob.
Don't you mean, Jack Daniels?
He may be Jack to you, son, but when you've known him as long as I have.
You call him John.
Did you cut it off on purpose there so you could finish it?
No, I didn't, but I was pissed off that the clip was cut off, and I was like, I got to finish it because that's the whole line. I don't know why they cut it off there. And to my left, we have Keenan, a.k.a. Keenan the Cannibal, a.k.a. Cannabis Keenan, a.k.a. Keenan the Barbarian, Keenan Robertson.
Damn it.
Get some rubber gloves. From now on, you're my cleaning lady.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? And welcome to Michigan Mike from New York. Yeah.
We should mention it.
Welcome to the city.
He's originally from Michigan. Let's introduce him first.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan Mike, a.k.a. regular vice correspondent, Michigan Mike. Say what's up, Michigan Mike!
I was right in the middle of a fucking reptile zoo. And somebody was giving booze to these goddamn things.
Won't be long now until they tear it to shreds.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on, Mike. And we should say, so Mike is originally from Michigan, and I met Mike through Keenan, and Keenan and Mike were great friends from online video gaming.
Yeah,
SOCOM 2.
We played SOCOM 2.
PlayStation 2.
On the PlayStation 2, starting back in like 03 or some shit like that. I've known this guy for a long time, and you know.
You went to his wedding.
Yeah, I was the best man there.
Not only did he go, but he was the best man,
Yeah.
so he was better than I was.
I did not know that information. So the best man at Michigan Mike's wedding. Was Michigan Mike's wedding, was it in the South where your wife's family's from?
Absolutely.
All right,
I mean, it was
in Louisiana.
The depths, the bowels of the bayou, man.
Yeah, down there where the gators are, chomping and the feet are stomping. You know? I think that's a Louisiana statement. Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong. Mrs. Adams.
So is that an actual saying from the South, Keenan, or did you just?
No, I just made that up.
Oh,
I was just rambling.
If it should be then. If it's not, it should be. That's.
I sold it like it was.
Yeah, no, I literally thought no, he didn't come up with that.
Where the gators are chomping and the feet are stomping. Les bon temps brûlés. But anyway,
I don't speak German, so man, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Keenan.
Well, welcome here, Mike. He's one of my oldest, dearest friends, and a supporter of this podcast since we launched it. He's encouraged it every step of the way. So he said he was coming to town.
60 episodes. I'm 20 episodes in. I was hooked from the beginning. I mean,
yeah, but he said he was coming to town. And he said, "Can I be on Real Buzz Takes?" And I said, "We can make that happen."
And not to shit on any of our other guests we've had, because we've had a lot of fantastic guests, but this is one that's actually someone who's legitimate in the media world. He's been all over the world working for Vice. You were in Iraq, 2-3 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah, but I mean, this is way more interesting than
Than Iraq. Oh, make sure you pull that mic up close to your face.
Oh yeah, here we go.
There it is.
Oh, the timbre.
Hear yourself
is
so much better.
Yeah, the timbre is it's much more sexy. I feel like it could be on on a late night talk show or something.
What is your nationality?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't even know my dad, so.
So since we had such a special guest today on the podcast, I let him choose whatever film he wanted. And this is a film I'd never seen before. And the film we're reviewing today is Withnail.
I think Withnail.
Withnail? I think it's Withnail.
I think the Americanized
Is
version.
Withnail.
And I.
But I think they pronounce it Withnail. Withnail and I.
Withnail.
And it's and I remember just starting, I'm like, this is the type of movie we've never done on this podcast. And it was going to be exciting. It's very British. It's very dry. It's very comedy drama with a hint of art house. And it was a great movie to watch. It was very funny. Directed by Bruce Robinson. This was Bruce's directorial debut. First movie ever directed.
Is that what debut means?
Yes,
right.
yes, it is. I don't know if you're R-worded, but yes.
Virgin, another way. It's like her.
That's it. Yeah, he popped his cherry on this
or
movie.
her debut, into the sex world, man. So.
He did a couple of big movies after this. There was How to Get Ahead in Advertising. He directed that. There was a movie called Jennifer 8. I didn't recognize, but was pretty big.
What did
from
she
a
eat?
box office standpoint? Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't that movie.
Well, what happened with the first 7 Jennifer movies? All right, sorry, bad joke. Anyway,
And also directed one of. I love this movie. We've talked about it on prior pods. Keenan doesn't. The Rum Diary. He directed that as well.
yeah, we were actually talking about that in the car ride over. Not even about Bruce Robinson, but
Just about the Rum Diary.
The Rum
in
Diary.
general,
Yeah.
I mean, just it was.
I feel like it was one movie. It was a movie that was aesthetically really enjoyable to watch, and Johnny Depp is always fun when he's acting. And it decided to go. You couldn't tell it was Hunter Thompson until like the last 20 minutes, or maybe the last 15, when the newspaper closes down and he gets in. He starts talking about the bastards, and like you realize, oh, this is Hunter. This is Hunter, for sure.
I think it was really made for people that were big fans of Hunter, and maybe some people that were big fans of Johnny Depp. But I think really it was kind of a swan song to people that read Hunter. I don't know what you think about that.
yeah, well, I don't know. So I think it was a big fan, or it was a movie for big fans of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and like Psychedelic Hunter. But the book itself, the spirit of the book itself, just wasn't captured with
Well,
the
see,
movie.
so I didn't pick that up with the Rum Diary. I didn't get the psychedelic aspect. I felt like, to me, almost like a feel-good movie. I felt like when I was watching it, I was on vacation. From the first shot, where you've got and it's just a plane, and then he wakes up and his eyes are fucked up. And I felt like it was a version of Fear and Loathing that could be metabolized and enjoyed by the general public.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely a better
Maybe a
entry
watered
level-
down version.
Yeah. It's like the marijuana to Thompson. You don't want to take the acid right away. You don't want to go straight Fear and Loathing. You want to get a little.
You're
bit
right.
of-
It's like the people who want to smoke weed and not drop acid and mescaline.
exactly. Yeah.
So cast in this movie, I only focused on the main two. I thought this was more of a duo cast. Found out, because I researched before I watched more into the movie, that it's definitely a trio cast. We had Richard E. Grant as Withnail, and then Paul McGann as, well, he's credited as And I, but his name's Marwood. Honorable mention, he should have been in the cast, not honorable mention, but Richard Griffiths, which was Uncle Dursley from Harry Potter. Weird thing I fucking noticed, dude, he looked old as shit in this movie. He's like 42.
Yeah, and you can tell that in some of the later scenes when you get up close, those jowls. Are
Oh,
very
dude,
smooth.
he was morbidly obese.
very fat, but real smooth. I would.
Yeah, very smooth around the
very-
face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very smooth man.
So he died back in 2013, and he was only
Holy shit! I did not know that.
he was only 65. He
knew
wasn't
he
that
died.
old.
Wow.
I
didn't know
thought
that.
he was like 78 in Harry Potter.
Yeah, he looked pretty fucking old.
I-
Yeah, if you go back and watch Harry Potter 4 or whatever, he looks super old.
No, he was early 60s, mid
Yeah, and-
61 to 60. Yeah, it was maybe even before 60s, depending on which Harry Potter you're watching.
He was on the first couple episodes of a show called Episodes on Showtime.
I remember that. Yeah, with the British couple who wrote for Joey from Friends.
Yeah, and he looked super old in that too. So I guess, British people, bad teeth, age fast.
Well, I don't think it helps that he's almost 400 pounds.
I don't mean to typecast.
Yeah, I
him all,
think
but-
I think the obesity probably.
I don't think the
played a
fact that
part
it's
in
British.
some
I
of
think
that
it's the
too.
fact that he was 400 pounds most
Yeah.
of his,
Yeah.
Which, no dig on him. He's a great actor, though. Fantastic actor.
No, honestly, probably the most uncomfortable moments in that movie. There's a lot of down and out moments in that movie, but that last scene, or towards the end of the movie when he's in the bedroom and
When he's trying to seduce.
Yeah, Marwood. It's almost like I kind of feel for him. I mean, it's a little bit.
You feel a
me
little
too.
bad for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a morbidly obese homosexual in the 60s. It's got to be pretty hard to find partners.
But at the same time, I mean, he's like, I mean, there's it's like broaching on rape.
Oh, no,
at some
for
point.
sure. Well, in his defense, he was under the assumption that Marwood was a closeted homosexual.
Exactly, but at the same time, I mean, you're forcing yourself onto it. And that's why I think even from the beginning of this movie to the end, I mean, there were some pretty present themes that we're seeing today.
Well, yeah, and you feel the worst for him whenever they read that letter.
Mike, scoot that thing a little closer to you.
After
I'm not good with things close.
You're
close
good.
To my mouth.
You basically just like tongue it, like just do that.
Get real in on it. Okay.
Get real in on it.
Yeah. This is getting better.
But after he tries to get on Marwood, and Marwood goes and talks to Withnail, and he's like, "Why would you do that?" And then he writes a letter. He's like, "The eavesdroppers must leave in the night." Like I don't know. He pretty much says, "I realized you were just fucking with me, so that's why I'm leaving." And
Yeah.
And last
feel bad
felt
for him.
bad for
Last
him.
night
Yeah,
on
I felt
Griffiths,
bad for
he
him.
seems like almost a classically trained, almost Shakespearean type of actor.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Just the way he delivers his lines and the way he articulates, I really get this kind of traditional acting, some sort of training. But
Yeah.
Well, and even with the way that Withnail acts, and Withnail being Monty's nephew or whatever,
Yes.
they both go into random fucking
yeah, also this guy must make his fucking nut on playing uncles.
yeah.
That's true. I mean,
You need an
it's
uncle?
always that character. It feels
Yeah.
always like he plays.
He's the fat
that
uncle.
guy.
Like
Yeah.
if he were American, he would okay, honestly, just hear me out. If he were still alive and they were doing a biopic on Andy Reid, first choice.
that
Yep.
guy.
I'll
Yeah.
agree with that.
He could do the
I'll allow
mustache.
it.
He'd have to honestly. I love Fat Andy, but he'd have to lose some weight. He's a little too fat to play Fat Andy.
Yeah.
Moving on to cast.
Cats.
Nope, sorry. Moving on, we already did cast. We're going to start with Richard E. Grant. Before this, known for a TV series called Sweet 16. And then this was his first feature. After this, he was in L.A. Story, Hudson Hawk, which was that early 90s Bruce Willis film.
I don't think I've ever seen that. In fact, I don't know if I've seen Richard E. Grant from Withnail and I until he played in Can You Ever Forgive Me? The most recent film.
Okay, yeah, because I have that. He was also in Spice World, the Spice Girls movie.
Do you have Gosford Park?
I do it. He was in Gosford Park,
Okay,
the Garden
all
of
right.
Eden, Doctor Who, Downton Abbey, which every even decent English actor was in.
It's kind of a follow-up to Gosford Park.
A little bit, yeah. And then he was had a small part in the movie Logan, which is my favorite Wolverine movie. And he also has a part in The Hitman's Bodyguard and The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard coming up.
Yeah, I just watched Gosford Park. That's kind of a dry movie, but
Yeah,
very
very
British.
dry, very English.
Good to watch in the fall every now
Yeah,
and then.
of course,
it's
yeah.
kind of a dreary, rainy day type movie, and I just watched
Okay.
it like probably 5-6 days ago, something like that. So,
I
it
feel-
was weird seeing him in that as like a snobby
what's it
butler.
about? I
He's-
feel terrible now because I don't know what you're talking
He's
about.
like Gosford Park is pretty much Downton Abbey. It's like
Yeah, it is.
the serving class and then the aristocracy, and like shows
Okay.
both sides of it.
And
He plays a snobby butler. But seeing him as Withnail in this, it's like fuck.
this was the first time he actually let go and showed some emotion
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of English cinema kind of reflects how they express their feelings, which is they don't. So when you watch
Bottle it up and then die.
yes, so when you watch Gosford Park and you watch Downton Abbey, it's very much like it's very proper. Or even you could talk about The Crown that's on Netflix right now, and you look at the royal family. They're big on never showing emotion. I don't quite understand that, but it's definitely ingrained in their culture, and I
Well,
think
it's
that
not
reflects in
proper,
their
is it?
cinema. I don't know. I mean, maybe yeah, because I'm a crass fucking American, so what do I know?
Right, you wear your heart on your sleeve, you're a little fucking bitch, isn't it?
Are you being thick?
Being thick. Yeah.
That's terrible. That was just pretty much. I was pretty much doing Ralph Fiennes from
In Bruges.
in Bruges. You being thick? Anyway,
My cunt fucking kids.
Paul McGann. Before this, known for a TV series, give us a break. Another TV series called The Monoclid Mutineer. After this,
I don't know what any of these things
no.
are.
After this, he's known for some bangers: Empire of the Sun,
Okay.
Okay. all right.
Alien 3, The Three Musketeers, Queen of the Damned, rest in peace, Aaliyah,
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who, and then that really cool Idris Elba British TV series Luther.
I haven't watched it,
Yeah,
but it does look like a cool show.
Big Idris fan.
Yeah. Idris Elba's just cool, so he's probably got a cool show.
Oh,
But
Idris is dope as fuck.
I was hoping that with Paul McGann, because I didn't look him up, and I was hoping that I would I'd be like, oh, that's what I recognize him from. But from what you just read, like, no, I don't think I really know him.
That's
There's
the thing.
like a couple movies that I like Empire of the Sun.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen him in that because
Christian
I
Bale's
saw
a baby.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
But I've never seen Alien 3, and I never saw
I
Queen of
never
the
saw
Damned
it there either.
or Hitman's Bodyguard.
The Three
so-
Musketeers, that '93 version with
I mean, I probably saw it when I was a kid, but
D'Artagnan.
oh yeah, was he D'Artagnan?
No,
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
But so with Alien 3, so apparently, and this was me reading the Wikipedia article before I got here. So is that Scott? Did Scott direct that?
Ridley
too?
Scott did not direct the third one. He directed number 1 and number 2.
Okay.
And then 3 he had nothing to do with.
Okay, so for the third one though, they were trying to get Richard, whoever played Paul McGann, and Danny's character, Ralph Brown, I think it was.
The guy who had the massive. You're talking about
The massive joint in his
massive joint.
mouth?
Yeah.
So they were trying to get those three. So I think Paul McGann and Ralph Brown joined on, but Richard bowed out from.
Oh, really? They were trying to get this cast pretty much?
To get everybody onto that cast, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never saw
somebody
Alien
played
3.
it in the vein of Withnail when they. Yeah.
So hear me out. I'm being ignorant here. Ridley Scott, British?
I think so.
American? Oh wait, really?
I don't
I
know.
think he's British.
It
I have
sounds
no
like he has a
fucking
lot of
clue.
connection to British actors.
I always thought he was British. Russell
Yeah,
Crowe, he's Australian, right?
Yes, he is Australian.
I'm gonna look it up.
But brother, what was his brother's name? Who I think committed
Yeah,
suicide, right?
English film director.
Okay, he's English. Are you talking about
So
Ridley
Rid-
Scott's brother?
Yeah, really. God, Jesus Christ.
Tony Scott.
Jesus,
Tony
God,
Scott.
man.
Tony
Yes.
Scott, the guy who directed
So-
Top Gun.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
He also directed Black Hawk Down.
He
right?
did, yes.
Okay, so I mean that he's mainly done like
Action, big budget action
American
films. Yes.
action flicks. Yeah, so
Yeah, Tony Scott has done some pretty amazing films, like what's that one with John Travolta? No. Chris Pine and Denzel Washington, Unmovable Train,
Man on Fire.
Unstoppable.
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 That was Tony's last film,
Yeah.
and it was a good one.
Wait, where is he?
I just have Tony Scott on Wikipedia, so I was wondering which one you guys were going to say. But anyway,
I mean,
Directed
I
Top
don't know
Gun?
by face, but
But both brothers, fucking prolific directors.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like the Manning family of directors. Like, you know how like Archie Manning had 2 sons that were both Super Bowl champions and Super Bowl MVPs. Like whoever fucking fucking Scott's dad is, just had 2 sons that are super prolific, great directors. Like, what are the odds? Like, freeze that guy's sperm. Like, do something.
God, they gotta be great sperm.
Yeah, dude. Like, I feel like he just fucks movies into people. I don't
do
know.
you think
man.
those sperm are so good because they like block out? Like, all right, you got to go in here. You guys wait here. Let's get the shot. Let's get the shot.
Get the shot.
Talking about the
Yeah,
little
there's-
sperms and
There's a lot
sorry.
of blocking when it
You're,
goes
bl-
into
you're
that.
blocking his semen.
yeah, one of the
okay.
sperms are the director.
No, I
They're
like
getting
that.
one in
That's
there,
very
and you
cool.
block into here. Yeah,
That's very cool. So it's like, hold on, let's just set it up.
let's get the shot.
No, I bet he frames when he blasts though, right? Like, so he's like, hold on, before I go, and then he like has a monitor, and he's like, hold on, no, it's good. All right, let's do it.
Man, Ridley Scott didn't even direct this movie. We're talking all about that.
And moving on to net worths.
Two
So
chains.
Richard E. Grant. I'll let you guys have a guess.
So
I mean, I know what it is.
It's okay.
looked
You
it
know.
up? Well, let me
I
go
looked it up,
first then.
man.
Okay, yeah, Keenan, go
you
ahead.
go first.
What I'll say about Richard E. Grant, like I said, I saw him in Gosford Park.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's that British guy in a
Very
lot
prolific
of stuff.
English actor. He has a bunch of credits I didn't mention because they were mostly
Yeah,
like
bit
BBC
parts.
type
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
stuff like that. And I feel like he's usually not the leading guy, but he's done a lot of stuff. So with all that being said, I'm going to say that he's worth 10 million British pounds.
Okay. I don't know how to do the.
So you can say 10 million American dollars. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be way
I'm
more
not sure.
than
Yeah.
that,
I'm not.
but-
The
Yeah.
pounds was supposed to be a joke. Whatever. I don't know. 10 million smackaroos.
Oh, okay.
10 million smacks.
All right. So see if Mike actually knows what it is.
I think it's 4 million. I think it
It's 4 million.
It's 4 million.
$4 million.
Yeah.
4 million smackaroos.
I'm sorry. Now I feel bad.
No, don't feel
I
bad.
listened to the show before, and then I like got all the
You just want to do good on the episode. I get it.
You know,
you
I just-
know?
We'll see how you do with.
yeah.
We'll see if you researched Tipsy Trivia or not. We'll find out.
Oh shit! I got a few beers to go. I think.
All right. Paul McGann.
Paul McCann's.
I couldn't find this one. I really couldn't find it.
Okay.
Oh, I found it pretty easily.
Oh, Oh, you did?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God. This is me Googling on the plane on the flight
Just
over
to
here. so.
give you some reference, he's worth more than Richard E. Grant, which I was kind of surprised about.
That's kind of crazy.
And
Maybe
Richard E.
because he
Grant
did
was worth
Alien
4?
3. I think maybe that's why.
Well, no, yeah, that's true. And you know what? I'm actually not that surprised. He did some big movies. But
I'm going to say $10 million again then.
okay,
I'm going to say 15.
7,
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
7 million.
Overshot that.
Good for him.
He's doing fine. I mean, the guy's been on Queen of the Damned, Doctor Who, Three Musketeers. He's got a credible list of shit he's done.
He aged far better than
Oh
Richard
yeah.
Grant did.
Oh, for sure.
He still kind of looks, like the sexy Paul McGann that he was in Withnail.
Was he sexy in this movie?
I thought so.
I
Like,
think
He
for
was
the
the
you know what?
sexier of the
you
two.
know what I really
Yes,
liked
that's
about
true.
him?
For sure.
He
That's
had
true.
these like big thick veins on his neck, and I appreciate that.
The
Like,
first thing I thought was like, all right, so we
that
appreciate
shaving
it.
scene. I mean,
So,
maybe that's just me, man.
when the
Maybe
movie sets in and we see Paul McGann, I'm like, oh, this is fucking alcoholic, manic, depressive John Lennon.
Yes, it was very John Lennon vibes.
Yeah.
By the way, George Harrison was an executive producer.
I saw that. I
Did you
wasn't.
see that?
Was it the George Harrison?
So I saw that and I was gonna look it up, and I fucking forgot to.
Because
Look it up
no,
before I got
Mike.
here.
I had the same thought. I'm like, could it? Nah, it's probably not.
I could see
I
it
think
being.
so.
Yeah, I could see it
definitely
being him.
because they played a Beatles song at the end of the movie.
Oh,
Towards the end
okay.
of the movie.
Yeah.
And I could see it being a George. I mean, this was like, what do they say? This is like the quintessential cult British classic. Like,
That's true.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of American
That's a great
cult
point.
classics. So this could be George Harrison kind of like flexing some muscle here.
Well, yeah, but he didn't realize he was doing it if he was producing the film. I mean,
That's true. I
But
mean-
this film, critically, I don't want to ruin things later, did really well. It's
I
well
mean,
regarded as a
and
great
it's very-
film.
Yeah, it is a really good film. I mean, from a subjective standpoint, beautifully shot, lovely acted,
Oh yeah,
beautifully written.
It's yes, I agree, and it's one of those movies where it's from a plot standpoint, not a lot happens, but it's
None.
more about the
Yeah.
character development and it's more about what happens between the characters than what goes on within the movie. And it's a comedy, so the interaction between the characters is more important than plot points of this happens, then this happens, then this happens. It's this
Yeah.
interaction happens, then this interaction happens, then this interaction happens.
right.
And it's a good movie. That being said, Calvin would fucking hate this movie. He wouldn't get through 20 minutes of it. He'd be like, "I don't get it. What are we watching this for? Where's Captain America?"
Calvin, I'm sorry, man. I'm glad you're not here this week, even though I'd love to see you. But I feel like, yeah,
I like
Maybe you won't like it.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where's Black Widow? All right, I'm gonna stop listing Marvel heroes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say you have something to say. Do you not?
No. Yeah. No.
Oh, all right. Moving on to specs and deets.
Yes, indeed.
Runtime on this film was 107 minutes. Budget unknown, was not listed. Opened at not listed. Grossed 1.5 million in the U.S. Globally, grossed 1.63 million. So
Ooh,
I'm gonna say this movie probably lost money,
I would say so.
but
yeah,
I don't think this movie was made to make money, if that makes sense. I hesitate to call this an art house film, but I think it's an art house film in a lot of ways. It's very British, it's very dry, and it's not a comedy in the traditional way that comedies play out, but it is very much a comedy. It's a comedy for people who like to watch comedies that, don't have to be like Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Like, if you can pay attention to dialogue and you can really invest yourself in the characters and what they're saying to each other, it's a really funny movie. And while I don't think that resonates with a lot of the general public, that doesn't make it a poorly made film. I think it's really well done. I think it's a good movie.
yeah. I think I for the most part, I mean, I think you kind of feel 107 minutes towards the end. There's parts
A little bit. I agree with that.
I don't know if it's because I've seen it so many times.
No, you could cut
or-
some stuff.
Yeah, I think there's. I think there, but it's also what I think it's Richard E. Grant's first film. It's
both of their
Bruce
first films.
Robbins' first film.
First film. It's basically everyone's first feature.
So this is. Could you imagine like making a film that is still watched today and is being reviewed on like some millennial podcast? And
Yeah,
yet,
exactly.
You know, people are still talking about it. Like, this is your first fucking
And I think that's
foray into
the film wasn't
cinema.
made to be a mainstream success. It was
No.
made to be as a piece of art talked about later.
For sure.
And I think it stands the test of time. And there's a reason it was on HBO Max. Like they don't program that shit because people won't watch it.
Yeah, I think it's just a very witty, kind of sharp type of movie. Like you said, you kind of have to be paying attention to the dialogue
Yep.
to get a lot of the humor. But if you pay enough attention, you can get a lot out of this movie. It's just not very in your face with its humor and stuff like that.
It's not from a commercial aspect. It's not that Tommy Boy kind of funny. That's not like physical humor. It's if you want to get the humor, you have to pay attention to the dialogue and pay attention to the character development. It's not easy in that way.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean. I mean, that makes it in a way more rewarding when you do get the joke, if that makes sense. You know, it's not easy. Like, oh, you know, for example, Tommy Boy, when he comes up and Richard knocks on the door and he's, you know, comes up and, you know, he drops his towel and his ass is showing. And like, don't get me wrong, that's really funny. And I'm not saying anything against that at all. It's just a different kind of funny.
Yeah, I think there's a level of humor here that you kind of have to buy into a little bit in the beginning. I mean, you really have to be committed. And I think for me, at least on this last time watching it, and I was talking to Keenan about this earlier, putting the subtitles on really helped.
Yep,
Because if you're
100%
not-
had the subtitles on,
Yeah,
and I
if you-
recommend everyone else who watches it does too.
For sure. I mean, if you didn't grow up in the UK, or if you didn't grow up in London and don't know the accent very well, there's so much I missed in this film that
Dude,
wasn't, you know,
I Googled
that.
at least 3 words of slang that's coming up in my notes in the
Yeah.
rundown where I'm like, oh, that's what that means? And
I'm glad you Googled him. I'm interested
I
to
did.
see which ones you
I
did.
I Googled them because I'm like, what the fuck is... And then I just Googled this. I'm like, I don't know what this means. So plot keywords.
Oh.
Well, I like that. That was
Yeah,
cool.
a little too much. Number 1, friendship. Great. Number 2, black comedy. I'm not sure this was a black comedy.
I didn't see it that dark. I mean,
It wasn't that dark.
So there's
In
a little-
Bruges is a black comedy. This
In Bruges
is
is
not that dark.
Sure.
I think it could be considered a dark comedy because there's a almost rape in it. The
Oh, that's true.
characters
Yeah,
are
I
pretty
forgot.
not a-
disgusting people.
It's not a dark rape though. It's like, oh, I'm good.
It made me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, but not.
I felt pretty
But not in an aggressive way where you're like, oh, he's definitely gonna do this no matter what. Because then he's like, hey, I'm actually in a.
No, I
You're
see why
right.
it's
You
a
know what?
dark
I'm
comedy.
classifying rape in weird ways. You're right. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was more like, you know, he had to like lie his way out of this.
Yeah,
Rape.
because
Yes,
once
it's
you,
rape,
once,
and
it-
yeah.
And he, I mean, it wasn't like a quick thing. It wasn't like he gave him.
No,
one
it's like a
excuse.
5-minute scene. that
Yeah,
he's
and
got to
he's
get
like,
out of it.
yeah. So for me, it felt a little.
Uncle
it felt
Dursley's terrible at reading vibes, by the way. Like
Yeah.
even if he
Well,
was
Withnail had told him that.
no,
he was
even
into
if you
it.
said, oh, he's a closeted homosexual. Let's say he is a closeted homosexual. He clearly has no interest in you. So like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like he clearly doesn't read vibes. And you're right. That is very. It's very aggressive, very rapey. Which brings me to my next plot keyword: homosexual, which I'm not associating with rape. That was weird. Didn't mean to do that.
Is that really what it
brings me
says
to
on like
it.
IMDb? Is
Yeah,
like
number 3 is homosexual.
Well, I thought it was interesting in the beginning of the film. They have this whole like scene with Marwood sitting down, or the character I sitting down at this cafe right in the beginning, and he's like reading this newspaper, and you know it's talking about how
sex changes.
Yeah, the sex change, and how it was like so powerful for this boy to to have his sex change. And I thought that was kind of interesting. This film came out in the 80s.
Yeah, no, the
and-
kid was a pioneer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is pretty,
Yeah.
Bruce Robinson
Because
was like
that's
taking.
That's a huge part of our culture now. When you talk about gender identity, when you talk about pronouns, when you talk
Yeah.
about just what do you identify as in general?
Right.
That was, you could say, was really.
Well, I'd say this movie is very ambiguous at the beginning about the two main characters.
Whether or
They're
not,
sexual-
yeah,
yeah,
you're
because-
thinking, what is the relationship between these two guys?
Right, because
yeah.
at one point, Withnail calls, what's his name, Marwood? Or the
Marwood,
character
yeah.
I, he calls him Lover as they're walking along, and then he gets called Ponce in the restaurant. I looked that up. Apparently, that's the one slang I did look up. Apparently, that means pimp or something
Oh,
like that.
that's
Oh, is
not
that what that
that is
means?
not the
Oh,
the
that's-
definition I got.
Oh, what'd you find?
Ponce, the definition I looked up said it was a man who earned the same wages as a prostitute.
Yeah, and like he would pimp him out. He lives his earning off of a prostitute's money, aka a pimp.
See, I interpret that as it was a guy who was a deadbeat fuck who earned the same.
Did you read the first sentence of the definition, or did you read the entire thing?
Maybe
'Cause
just
I
the
read the
probably
first
just
sentence,
the,
and that's
no,
what
you-
it said.
Okay,
But then
maybe you're right because
yeah.
I think I probably just read the first sentence.
Yeah, because then it says aka a pimp. So I took it to
So
mean
why
that he
is
was
that
calling
such a
him
fucking- Why?
a homosexual.
I guess I didn't
That's
look
what
up
I
the
thought
term,
they
and
meant.
so like I was just getting it from context from the scene, like him walking in there.
Yeah, pimp is not what I pick up from
walking
that.
past.
Right? Yeah,
you
that's
know,
not
Yeah.
what I took from that scene.
I
either.
thought
Right.
I thought it was something to akin to like when they say poof, like like something to like a homosexual, something
Yeah.
like that. I did not. That's actually like honestly, maybe this is an American thing. If someone was like, "Oh, what pimp?" I'd be like, "Yeah, that's right."
Yeah, exactly. Well, but this was pre 50 Cent. This movie. This was before the Bush years ever were even thought of. Well, the HW years were on the horizon, but the W years, and you don't know what you heard about me, but I'm a PIMP. You know, we like pimps because of that.
Yeah.
It's hard out here for a pimp and stuff
No,
like
no, no.
that.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, maybe it was, maybe it was like
but-
calling someone a fuckface.
What about that that novel that Dave Chappelle was talking about at the end of one of his specials? Something Slim. God damn it, that pimp. What was his name? Bottom line, my thing is, it was still cool to be a pimp back then. Like it was, at least
It's
in
always
American
been
culture.
cool to be
yeah,
a
like,
pimp,
it's
yeah.
never been like you're a pimp. It's like, oh fuck you, man. It's like I was like, at worst, you're like, really? It's what you think of me? You're never like, oh, you think I'm like that? No, I'm telling you, like being a pimp was never not cool in certain contexts.
Yeah, gators, bitches better be God, I fucked that up.
Gays bitches better be wearing jimmies.
That's what I tried to say. Anyway, are we still on plot keywords?
We are. We've got number 4 as drug dealer,
Yep.
which
Danny.
and
Best character in the film, I think.
undoubtedly,
show.
undoubtedly,
Yeah.
he's hilarious. Number 5, inner dialogue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He has an inner monologue.
Taglines. One is good. One's pretty okay. One's bad. First one. There's only 2. If you don't remember the '60s, don't worry. Neither do they.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Really?
No. That's the better one.
Oh wow! I can't wait to hear the second one.
Second one. You are cordially invited to spend a funny weekend on the English countryside.
Wow, that is terrible.
It's
That's
real
not
shitty.
a good way to
That's
describe this
real
movie.
shitty.
Fucking tagline.
Real shitty.
If I
It's not even a short tagline. It's like fucking 15 words, and it's still not good.
if I went to see this movie based on that tagline, I would be very disappointed.
I'd be real pissed off.
I feel like I'd be watching My Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, that sounds like a lighthearted movie. This this
Just
isn't very
Not like
lighthearted.
this.
Neither of those taglines are good. Maybe the only reason the first one sounds good is because the second one is so fucking bad.
Maybe, but God, they're both really.
They're
bad.
both not good.
They're both not good.
If you don't remember
There's
this,
not a lot of good stuff about this movie, except like there's a few things, but like the acting and the writing is great. But I mean,
no,
The
I think
taglines for it,
the
not good.
filming was pretty shitty too. I would say like the cinematography was terrible.
well, but they're back in '89, so
I
it's,
guess, but there's good
and this
shot.
and Mike,
movies.
this is a very low budget film.
You're right. You're
Very
right,
low
you're
Well,
budget.
we don't know that. We don't know what the
Well,
budget
if
was.
it only-
That's true.
if
and
it only-
didn't make that much.
It could have been worth 15 million British pounds sterling.
You guys are right. What was I thinking?
This was pre-Euro, man. Anyway,
I wouldn't know that.
All right,
speaking of pre-Euro,
moving on to the synopsis. Please give us your synopsis, Cannabis Keenan.
all right, here we go. Oh, how do I want to do this?
I'm gonna make
Wait.
a drink while you're doing that.
Wait, is this a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, dude.
I don't. Wait, what's a canopsis?
And so it's synopsis, but with Keenan's name, so we call it the Canopsis.
We thought
So-
we thought that we should have a little bit of a, even though we do it this late in the show, but in case you haven't watched the movie, here's what the movie's about type segment. you
Okay,
know?
all right.
But the reason why I like Keenan doing it is because he kind of puts his spin on the synopsis, and
Okay.
and I make him do a weird like movie phone voice.
You don't make me. I just
That's
started
true.
doing it.
I don't know why I said that. That sounded fucking weird. I asked him to, and he agreed to do like a movie phone kind of voice.
No, I just started doing it.
and he just started doing it.
Anyway, Withnail and I are a couple down on their luck actors drinking their way through their London existences and have started to get the fear. To cure the dreariness of their daily lives, they take a nice trip to the country, but find that it's not necessarily as relaxing as it seems in Withnail and I.
Very nice, Keenan.
Thank you.
Very nice.
That's really
I
funny.
like the hiccups were a nice addition because they're both drunks.
I have in my notes, hiccup, get the fear, hiccup.
Wow, I can't
Yeah.
fake a hiccup like that.
No, to be honest with you, at first I was like, "Is he that drunk?" I'm like, "Oh no, this is the bit."
It was on purpose.
Yeah,
the hiccup
yeah.
was on purpose.
It took
I can
me
do it anytime.
It took me a second to be like, "Oh no, this is the bit."
When it comes to losing hiccups, can't fucking do that for the life of me. But faking them, I can do that. All day, every day, baby.
Give me 1 second.
That's a fake one. Still fake.
Really, you should have gone into acting, man.
I looked into it. They said they couldn't take me.
No, that's a shame.
Or at least like a hiccup stand-in, like a stunt man, but for hiccupers.
Like a voice actor.
Yeah,
for
like a
hiccups.
voice actor. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching a weird thing. Don't judge me on TikTok, and there was a lady who was a professional voiceover person for video games, and she did all the voices she did for certain characters, but they were kind of generic because she did it for a bunch of different games, and she was really good. And I don't know how much money she makes, but you could have been that lady for hiccuping in video games. But that being said, how many times do characters in video games hiccup?
Yeah, but what about Simpsons? I feel like fucking
Yeah, Simpsons. You could
See,
have
here's where you guys are missing the market. Forget video games. Forget The Simpsons. Infomercials for medicines. This may cause hiccups.
That's true.
And then you have
I didn't
me
think about
hiccuping
that.
there, you know?
Yeah, no, but that doesn't work, man, because
Yeah.
when they say this might cause anal leakage, they don't just like let someone
Cut
like,
to a
get
shot
someone
of
shitting
someone-
themselves.
Yeah, but if you were listening to Paraxa, it'll help you with this. Side effects may include hiccups. And then you heard that, you would laugh. You would start paying more attention. You'd be like, all right, I'm buying that medicine.
I mean,
And it would make you forget about all the anal leakage. that comes
Exactly.
afterward.
Yeah. Hiccups, anal linkage. Oh, that hiccup was really good sounding. That was good.
like a
I think I
real
want to buy that.
so the hiccup is designed. Anyway, moving on to
To match the anal leakage.
Real Buzz Rundown portion of the podcast, where we go around the table and talk about what we liked, disliked, what we changed, wouldn't change. Just give our basic overall overview of the movie. This since Mike, you are the guest, we will start with you.
Okay.
So whatever you want to talk about, doesn't matter. You don't have to start anywhere, beginning, end, middle, whatever you want to talk about. What are the things you found interesting? Go
Okay.
ahead.
So, first off, the music in this film was fucking great. Like, I thought the composer for the scenes was phenomenal. I loved the moodiness of the country scenes, but throwing in what we had, Jimi Hendrix, we had fucking King Curtis, we had
All the big 60s greats.
yeah, I mean, it was a good 60 end of the era of the 60s. It was a great film for that. And at the end of the film, when Danny is talking about, he has this like monologue about how this is the end of the 60s. It was a great mile marker for the fact
That's
that
actually my favorite part of the movie.
yeah, me too, for sure. Like Danny, like anytime Danny's on screen, who is like this, for people that don't know the film, he comes in like the caricature of a 60s druggy dropout. I mean, he's got wild hair, sunglasses on all the time. His pants are short, so you can see his whole full package going on down there. But the best thing is like he really eloquently spells out what the end of the 60s was for that generation. My mom graduated high school in '69. And so having
Nice.
Nice. having that kind of outlook on what the next generation was going to be, I thought that was really cool. So
Yeah.
I don't know, and then the whole film is just full of one-liners. I mean, not one-liners, but like great quotable moments. I think it's probably one of my favorite quotable films.
Great ridiculous interactions
For
between
sure.
between the two predominant characters in
Yeah.
the movie. It almost has like a god damn it, what's that movie where the two old guys live together if they're divorced? God,
Grumpy Old Men?
Grumpy Old Men.
nah, kind of like that, but earlier. That's can't fucking think.
I
of it.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, The Odd Couple. That's the
Yeah.
very The
Oh,
Odd
The
Couple
Odd
feel.
Couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little less racist, but there's some racism in this movie too, man.
Well, hey man, point me on a
It's
movie.
69, man.
Yeah,
I guess.
point me on the movie that came out in the 80s. From the 50s to the 80s, it did have a little bit of racism in it. I mean, it's just.
That's true.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that was the
present.
time.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
No, I think for the majority of the film, I could really connect with both.
Also, just want to rephrase. That sounds great coming from a white dude. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, racism happened. Just get over it.
Yeah, no, this is all coming from 3 white guys that don't know anything about.
Yeah, you
that.
think racism is real?
No, but both Withnail and Marwood, who is known in the film as I think
technically,
technically,
yeah.
He can't even. He doesn't even have a pronoun. It's like
No.
a conjunction and then a pronoun.
Yeah, all these other fucking people out here changing their pronouns, doing gender neutral shit. Like, this guy didn't even have one.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, while we were speaking about that and talking about Danny, who we already mentioned, who was the drug dealer guy,
Yes.
who's probably going to be all of our drinking buddy.
Damn it, you're right. He is. Yeah, he's mine. Spoiler
Have you
alert.
guys watched, and I know some of our listeners have, at least one of them out there has, have you guys watched any of the Great British Bake Off?
No.
I've been watching that with me lady, and there's a guy named Noel Fielding, I don't know. But
You being thick.
if you guys had watched the show, you would be like, oh my God. When Danny came on the screen, I was like, that's Noel from the Great British Bake Off.
Are you talking about
fucking percent?
Hold
Yeah.
on. Are you talking about because of his accent or his look or both?
The look, Noel, I feel like this guy inspired his look based off of Danny. And actually, Noel's more of, sometimes he'll wear women's clothes, but Danny seemed like he was wearing women's clothes and shit
Danny
like that
seemed,
too.
no, he
so-
didn't seem like he was wearing. I didn't know what he was wearing.
Yeah,
Period.
kind of androgynous.
Yeah, I
and
agree,
a British
yes,
guy,
very,
and Noel's
very
got,
androgynous.
He's got dark hair, and he wears a... So anyway, it reminded me of the Great British Bake Off with that. And there's a lot of kind of androgyny in this movie, and...
Well, in the 80s in general, there was
ambiguity.
a lot of androgyny. Charlie Murphy said it best back in the Chappelle Show. Like, when he was talking to Prince, he was like, yo, dude, this was a time where the dude who looked most like a bitch got all the pussy. So,
Yeah.
like, it was a very androgynous time.
Yeah, and I guess there's not a shit ton of androgyny, just really Danny, and then Uncle Vernon wearing makeup, but, whatever.
Well, but he was gay. I don't know. I don't know if that's right to say. Anyway,
But at the same time, like that kind of surprised me with the makeup. Like when he
showed up,
I guess
yeah.
we'll get to it later, but I get that kind of threw me off though.
I forgot it happened, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are.
Mike, you're up. And what else you got? Anything else?
Oh, okay. Some of the scenes were pretty overacted for me. I think Richard E. Grant came from the stage. This was his first.
I agree.
film.
It seemed like it was more stage acting than film
It
acting.
did, yeah.
I agree with that.
I kind of got that vibe throughout the whole thing. And, what's funny is that it kind of fits with the characters. I mean, they are out-of-work actors, probably have only had stage roles trying to break into TV and film.
Which is why I think that was intentional in a way.
I think it is, too. And I maybe that's the greatness of the film, is that, they are out-of-work actors.
They're
and
out-of-work actors, and they're
overacting.
They're stage actors who, as they said in the dialogue, cannot make it on TV. So it's almost meta in a way to where they're stage acting on film.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost ironic meta. I don't know. Just put whatever label you want on it.
And I think Richard E. Grant personifies that with his whole, like, I must have some booze.
Yeah.
I demand to have some booze.
Yeah, that feels like very much stage acting.
Yeah, and he has a lot
Also-
of rants like that. Or outbursts like that throughout the movie.
Also, if that guy's not an alcoholic, I don't know what is. I must have some booze.
Yeah,
I
then
demand to have booze.
Then he started drinking that paint thinner or whatever the shit it
Well,
is.
it's not paint thinner. It's lighter fluid.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what it was. But then he asked, like, what do you have in the toolbox? Let me get into your
Do you have
toolbox.
antifreeze? He's like, never mix your drinks.
He starts laughing.
It's the best.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's very funny.
That's good banter, man.
That's great dialogue. That's great
good
writing.
stuff.
It's great writing.
More
No,
good
I have
writing.
it right here. It says, you fool. Because the guy's like, hey, I've just drank lighter fluid. Now I know you have antifreeze somewhere. It's like, you fool, you never mix your drinks. Like, because that's the problem?
Yeah, you don't want to mix your lighter fluid with anything else, man. I mean,
Oh, Christ,
very
on
important.
Fridays.
Very important.
More good banter between them around the beginning of the movie is when they realize that their lives are just down and out, and they're like, we got to get the fuck out of London, man. And I or whatever.
And then they decide to rough it in the fucking countryside.
I know, but when And I has the idea or whatever his name is, what is it?
Marwood?
Marwood,
yeah.
He's like, why don't we call, what's his name? Why don't you give him a call? Ask him about his house. All right, what's his number? Well,
don't
how should
know.
I know? I've never met him.
him.
Neither have I. What the fuck are you talking about? Like that little bit of banter there. If you're not paying
great
attention, you
writing.
can miss that, but that's great writing.
That whole scene when he's going into the bathroom and the guy sits down, he calls him the punks.
Yeah.
and he goes into the bathroom and he sees "I fuck arses" in the
Fucks me in the
arses?
arse.
So this, I'm not
Who
sure.
fucks sauces?
I think is he
I
coming?
fuck sauces?
So is he coming down from something or still hopped up on something? 'Cause
Yeah,
he's
they
like,
had been on a lot of speed, I
Yeah,
think.
because he's like, oh, that guy, I unintentionally fucking piss off big men. And he's like, oh, it says that I fuck arses. It's like, maybe that guy fucks arses. Maybe in a drunken rage, he just wrote I fuck arses. What if he does? And he comes in and fucks my arse.
Yeah, and before we get too far from the beginning of the movie, with him coming down, like the very first shot of him sitting in the cafe or whatever, and his eyes are all red, and he's looking around at the paper, like you talked about, that lady eats the egg sandwich.
It
That's
is
just gross as
pouring
shit.
out. The yolk is just pouring out of the
Yeah,
bread.
it's just disgusting. He's like, what the fuck is going on here in London? And there's no music at all at that time.
No, it's
which
just
I
the
think is a good choice.
cacophony of
Yeah.
sounds that's coming from the diner, which
And
is so unnerving.
I've never taken speed, but I've definitely been super hungover after like an
And you
all nighter
felt it.
and sitting in a Denny's and looking around just like, fuck, what am I doing with my life?
Like everything
this
you
movie-
look at,
yeah.
it makes you sick. Every noise you hear hurts.
This movie
Yeah.
captured that feeling unlike any other movie that I've ever seen.
And also at the beginning, when I can't tell. I thought they had a bunch of eggs that were in. Maybe were they poaching them? Was it?
Yeah, they had him in like a fryer.
Yeah,
It was just
it
in
looked
like a
like
skillet
they
that
were
was frying in
them
oil.
in a
Yeah.
fucking, but not like a little oil, like
No,
a
like
fucking bath
ton,
of oil.
like a shit ton of oil.
I thought
And that's the only sound that you heard was they made that sound of the eggs frying and he's sitting in the restaurant.
God,
All right, I'll make a mark. Who wants to take a break to take a peek? Because I got to do it.
Well,
I'm
you,
good.
you can take a
Hold
peek.
on, I got to make a mark for editing purposes because of.
Do you want us to fill time?
No, for real, go. If anyone has to pee, if you do it now, it makes editing easier. If you have, I feel like I'm that mom who's like, do you have to go before we start driving?
sounds like a Jewish mom.
My mom's not Jewish, but when I was growing up, anytime I impersonated her, that's the voice that just naturally came. So my mother is a Jewish mother who's not Jewish, if that makes sense. Like she personifies a Jewish mother in every personality aspect, but
Did
just
she grow up Jewish or
no, just isn't Jewish at all. She just
wow.
somehow obtained. I don't know how. She's just like, Rob, do you have enough underwear? I can buy you some more. Do you have socks? I can buy you socks. Do you need socks? I'm like, no, Mom, I'm fine. I'm 30 years old. I can buy my. No, you can buy your own socks. But if you need socks, just let me know. It's like Jesus
That's like
Christ.
Kyle's mom from South Park.
Yeah. Who is a Jew?
Exactly.
Who is a JOO? All right, Keenan, you're up.
All right. Well, let's see here. I'd only ever seen this once with Mike before.
This was my first viewing.
I can't remember which time you showed me, but I feel like it's been more than 10 years ago.
Wait, am I
probably.
the only one that has seen this multiple times?
No,
Yeah,
you are
showed
Mike.
it to me.
And
Wow.
I was texting Keenan and I was like, "Hey, how do you feel about this movie?" I'm like, "I need to watch it again." Like I feel like I didn't catch everything I needed to see the first time. I enjoyed it. I feel like there's so many things I didn't see that I could see on a second viewing.
I think so. Did you watch it with the subtitles?
Always, yes.
So we talked about this earlier, and I hadn't done that when I was growing up, but now, even if I understand the language, I'm always watching it with subtitles, because even on this watch, I watched it with subtitles for the first time and caught up on things I'd never seen before.
So I made it through like the first 10, 15 minutes, and I was like, I'm not going to do subtitles. But then Danny, the drug dealer, shows
Why
up on
wouldn't
the
you do
scene.
subtitles?
I haven't been doing them as consistently. But then as soon as Danny got there, I was like, all right, fuck, I got to turn on the subtitles.
I had no idea. And so I had subtitles on when Danny was talking.
Still don't know what
I
he's
had no idea what
talking
he was
about.
talking
yeah. You've got a suit, man. We could really have used a suit, right? And then the guy.
When did Jamaica obtain drugs? I think he got obtained at Heathrow.
Right, Heathrow. That's when I went back and watched it with subtitles, and I was like, oh, shit, he said Heathrow there. I didn't know he was talking about the airport.
Yeah, the airport. Well, it's because he didn't say Heathrow. He says Heathrow.
Heathrow.
Like it's death row.
I don't advise a haircut, man. all hairdressers are under the employment
I got a
of
mate-
the
government.
federal
I got a mate
government.
making a baby doll normally piss itself. It'll shit itself too.
It'll shit itself too.
Which is a genius idea, by the way. Forget about having a baby doll that will just urinate. Like, what if you had a baby doll that would shit itself too? He's not wrong. That would sell.
That would probably sell. But I
What
did
would sell
write.
more is his. Well, this is later in the film, but his little like procuring a small child's urine and using it for yourself.
Hold on.
and-
Save that. I want
I'll
to talk
save
about
it,
that
I'll
later.
save it.
Save that. Keenan, go ahead.
Save the children's urine for later.
I want to talk about that because I have so many questions.
We're about to get to it with where I'm in my notes, but before that, most of my notes it seems like are on Danny because I wrote Danny goes from chilled out sketchy druggy to the Lost Boys sketchy druggy in a flash, with him being like taking off his glasses and being like, "This is the embalmer, man. You can't fucking take this." He's like, "I'll take any pills that you take.
It's
this
worth-
is worth £2
It's
quid.
worth £2, which
you
is
can take
$2.
that £2 up your ass."
That's $2. It's not like $2 a lot. It's $2.
In 1969, it could have been worth $1,000. We don't know what inflation, man.
1969, man, it was a crazy time.
That always and drug offs are always fun, right? When he's like, "Oh, you could. I'll take more drugs than you can take."
And I'll run a mile doing it.
And didn't you think that eventually he was going to get slipped with the embalmer, but it just never happens? It was just a whole thing that
I
never,
agree.
yeah.
It was a buildup that didn't have a payoff, and I was upset about it.
And then Danny, right before he leaves, his last line, "Have either of you got shoes?"
And if you look in the scene, he is just
He's got no
barefoot.
shoes, yeah.
He's got no shoes.
If you've got shoes,
I thought that was great. So he was great. And then they go through their plan to try to go to the countryside. They go to visit Uncle Monty. And I want to give a shout out to Withnail and Richard E. Grant's performance because they get to Uncle Monty's place and he's very, flamboyant and extravagant.
Yeah.
And he's like,
well, he's gay.
"I've got to leave the room for a minute and make yourself a drink if you want." And Withnail just grabs the bottle and starts
No,
chugging
he
out of
doesn't
it.
even say
'Cause he
make
doesn't.
it. He just have to leave he has to
Yeah.
leave the room, and then Withnail just fucking gets the bottle of brandy or sherry,
Yeah.
and just starts fucking
Yeah.
bombing it.
When
And
you
that's the thing about this whole film is I think it is a quest for Withnail to get booze. The whole film
Oh,
is
fuck yeah.
based on that premise.
Absolutely.
And I was gonna get to it. I will get to it. I'll keep going in order. I'll keep going in order. But all right. So then I said, I don't know about that drunk driving piss jar thing. So I guess let's get to it now. With that.
Yep, that's what I have. I have. Can someone please explain to me how this drunk driving magic bullet works? Because he's like, mate, you got this thing right, and then you put piss in it, and it's got child's piss, and then the fucking. Bobby comes up and says, "Hey, Governor, I think you're driving drunk." He goes, "No, I'm not." And he just put this in his face. He's like, "Oh, child's piss," and can you get off? Like, that's what I took from that.
Well, yeah. And then I
I think it's
thought,
that simple.
yeah, if you refuse all the tests, they'll make you pee on the spot, and then somehow be able to analyze your pee. But then later on in the movie, he tries doing it. Clearly, that it
Yeah,
didn't
no, he
work
gets
for him.
picked up for drunk driving at the end. Yeah. So hold on. So we're to think that back in the 60s, what they would do is take urine to see if you're driving drunk?
I guess they still do that in some places. I mean,
No, the breathalyzers. It's all breathalyzers now.
yeah, but
They did end up trying to give him a breathalyzer when he gets pulled over at
Yeah,
the end.
but if
you're
they-
not going to blow into this bag.
But they take blood before they take urine.
yeah, I guess you're right. I mean,
But we don't know what they do in England.
And why is he called child? You full bro, if you got child's piss, you just bring it up, bro. What
I
is
guess
that?
it was because like at that time, I mean, the only person you probably could guess that wouldn't have liquor in their blood or
Would be a child.
would be a child.
So are we to believe that you can determine a person's age by their urine?
Or just their like sobriety by their urine. I mean, if a child is drunk, I think that's
Yeah,
another
I think the only reason he wanted a kid because he was thinking a kid won't be drunk. Like, he's not trying to determine the kid's age. He's not like, let me take a kid.
But that's my whole point
a drink of
is
this
you
piss,
can't
see how old he
determine
is.
someone's age by their urine. You can determine their sex. You can determine what drugs are in their system. But
He's not trying to determine their age. He's not trying to guess the kid's age.
yeah, you're right. Okay,
It's
so
just about the sobriety.
Yeah,
so
it's
he's
just about it being clean.
So he's storing children's urine in this
Clean pee.
receptacle.
Clean pee.
All right, I understand.
Clean
now. I understand.
Clean
now.
pee.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I was confused. He's
not like trying to guess a kid's age by drinking the piss.
Yeah, I don't know what I was going off there. Like, that being said, though, these fucking people talk in so much crazy British slang circles that you know what, man? I'm not going to dog on myself for not understanding that the first 11 times I watched it.
No, yeah, and the way he brings it up is definitely like, you know what we need to do when we get out of town? Find a kid. And it's like, what? I can get their pee.
And, like, fault you
It's
for
like,
not
what?
knowing about child's urine. I'm glad that you don't.
It's like anytime someone mentions child urine, I'm like, oh, wait, what? No, I'm glad I didn't know about
I'm
that.
gonna bow out of this conversation. I mean, yeah.
I mean, unless they're peeing in my mouth. What? Okay. Keenan?
Yeah, and so once they go to the countryside and end up, but the farm, pretty much everyone they meet in the countryside is just an asshole. Like, hey, can we get some wood or some fucking food? And they're like, nah, fuck off, go meet my son. He's in the top of the field. And then he's kind of an asshole too. And then when they end up going to the bar or whatever, that bar doesn't seem like a place that I would like to hang out.
I wouldn't call it a bar. I called that
a pub.
A farm pub.
To me, that was like that would be my place, man.
You would like it?
I like that place.
I
man.
like that the fact that only locals go there. It's very small. You're not getting a bunch of traffic from assholes. I do, and I like the guy that's working behind it's a fucking drunk.
Just super drunk from
So
the war.
my
you know.
exact note is, I like that drunk old bartender, but the bar itself looks pretty weak.
I mean, it's small. It's a small.
Yeah, no, but I'm
place.
good with that. Like, I'm 30. I'm gonna be 32 soon. I'm good with that. I don't want to fucking.
Nah, no
pop
TVs.
and
There's only a
bar.
fireplace in there. I want to see some ESPN, all right?
Dude,
Bro, this was
that's got me
69.
written all of it, man.
We barely
All
went.
right, we'll put some football on the TV then.
dude,
you know?
it's
And by football, I
69.
mean soccer. You know what I'm saying? England likes it. And then my next note is Uncle Vernon Dursley, like you've never seen him before when he comes to the British countryside there. In Penrith.
Very fat. I mean, he's never
No.
mind. He's been seen before like
no,
that. a
wearing
lot.
makeup and trying to rape them.
Oh,
is
yeah,
more
yeah,
like
yeah,
what
yeah,
I meant.
Yeah, that was fucking. That was pretty heavy-handed.
Yeah. Then I have a line that's, Balls! We want the finest wines known to humanity. We want them here, and we want them now.
That scene in the fucking tea house when they're like,
It's
in there
funny.
trying to move her-
It's funny, but in a movie this long, I think they could have cut that. I don't know why that's in there.
We're multimillionaires. We'll come back
I can
and
see that being a
shut it
little
down.
like
That's
you know,
that's just a scene.
slapstick a little bit.
That's just a scene to show like, oh, they're fucking drunks, which we already know.
yeah,
Right.
True.
Well, so
All right.
I agree
it's,
with that.
It's not funny. It's a funny scene, but in a movie that should be 90 minutes, that's 109. You can cut that.
For sure.
yeah. And then I have here, hair, here,
Here?
here. Richard Griffiths or whatever. He delivered that line.
Richard E.
beautifully.
Grant.
No, Richard Griffiths. is
Oh
what I'm
no,
talking
sorry,
about.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
Uncle
yeah.
Monty.
Uncle,
Uh,
or is it Uncle
Monty.
Dursley?
Monty.
Monty in this one.
I know. Okay.
And then I said
Oh, yeah, Jersey from
the end of this movie, but really you can see throughout the whole movie, it's very, you can see the influence on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas later on.
Oh, for sure.
I
But
agree
what's-
with that.
1,000%.
But what's funny is like this, you know, this influenced Bruce Robinson for writing Rum Diary, but you know, this would have had, you know, probably no influence on the script of
Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing, because a lot of that was taken from the book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but,
So it's
Rum
weird
Diary happened much later than Fear and Loathing.
Right, but earlier in the sense that it was written probably in the 80s, this movie.
Yes.
So I'm sure Bruce Robinson took influence from Rum Diary and from things like Fear and Loathing.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, specifically, you talked about the music way back at the beginning, and I think it's very like when they leave the countryside and Withnail's like, "I'm driving." It's very striking that all of a sudden Voodoo Child is playing because you haven't heard a lot of licensed music throughout the movie, and then
Right.
all of a sudden it's just this fucking.
Yeah, it feels like
Yeah.
it feels like it's there for a reason.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
reminded me so much of the last scene in Fear and Loathing when they're trying to make the airport or
The ending scene of this movie is just like that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's trying to get him home
Mike,
for an audition.
eating
Right.
on the podcast, such a great.
It's a great. Actually, if you're listening to this right now, we're doing a commercial right now for cheese flavored crackers. That I mean, I'm sorry, man. This is just the way I'm
some
sorry.
nondescript
Brother, I love you.
cheese-flavored
Keep eating
cracker.
you. Do you?
All right, so I
I'm making
apologize.
time.
It sounds I'm making time, but the end of the film, you know, is really so similar to Fear and Loathing when they're trying to make the plane. He's trying to get him home
Right.
to get to this audition because at the end of the day, I mean, despite the two characters' dichotomy, they really do love each other.
Yeah, no, I do think it's true. I think you have to point out the fact that while these two characters, this is almost a bromance kind of movie. It's a romantic comedy in the sense that you have these two people that these two characters that clearly they seem like they don't like each other in a lot of ways from their characteristics, but at the end also have been through so much that they do actually love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think throughout the whole movie you see that Withnail feels like he's the one that what's his name? Marwood is relying on. But in the very end scene when Marwood has got his audition, he's cut his hair and he's leaving, and Withnail's just like drunk in the rain, reciting Shakespeare to some wolves in a zoo or something. It's like really he needed Marwood more than Marwood needed him.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because God damn it, I'm asking. No, not Marwood. The fucking what's his name? Withnail. Yeah, at the end, Withnail is just kind of like, I am who I am. This is who I am. You're gonna go do your own thing. You've got opportunities. Do your thing. I'm gonna be me. And that's kind of how the movie ends.
No, but he's very.
But
Withnail,
he quotes. I think it's Hamlet at the end.
Yeah, but he's clearly very afraid of Marwood leaving because he's like, "Don't leave yet. Let's have a drink before you leave." And he's like, "No, I gotta leave you, man." And he's like, "Well, all right, well, fine, then fuck it. I'll walk with you," because he doesn't want him to leave.
Yes,
because he realizes his life is.
I do think that, and I said rom-com. It's a bromance kind of thing. It's a movie about male friendship. I think it is in a way. I think it's a movie about male friendship and what to do when you no longer have that, when you move on. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like we all had that. Like growing up when we were in college, we had our boys. If you were in a frat, or if you just lived with some guys, you had that relationship with people, and then at some point, you get old enough, and you're like, "Hey, this has to end. We have to move on." And some guys aren't ready to do that, and I think you're right. I think that was what you just said.
Yeah, I agree.
The feelings at the end of the movie. Yeah,
I think it's strange how much this movie hits on male relationships, because when you really look at it, there's no female character in this movie. I mean, aside from some secondary characters that
the ones that he yells out the window and calls them what's he call them, shockers or something?
Scrubbers,
yeah. which is British slang for prostitutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you get to the tea house scene, and he's yelling these demands at this female waitress, and then this man comes in and he's like, "Well, I'm the proprietor and I'm telling you to get out." Like,
and all the people are super old too.
Right. And then he goes to the farmhouse and he's trying to solicit some kind of eggs and some stuff to eat from this woman. She's like, "Well, go see my brother." So this really has no female characters at all.
That's a good point, yeah.
Except like supporting characters for male.
I agree with that. I didn't even catch that till you said it. It's definitely a movie about male relationships. Mm-hmm. That's definitely it, because all you have is the two main characters who live with each other, who have a very
intimate.
It's an intimate relationship. It is still obviously. I mean, they're not
platonic.
It's very platonic.
Yeah.
But then you have them enter this scenario with his homosexual uncle, which brings a new dynamic to the male bonding relationship, which is just like, oh no, this guy wants to fuck one of you.
Right.
And I'm going in a weird direction. I should stop this. Well,
I mean, I think it's an interesting dynamic between.
Yeah.
But they're super codependent.
The movie, no.
Period.
But basically, the movie is about male relationships. Yeah. I think that's true. Yeah. Whether they be platonic or intimate or homosexual or whatever, the movie's about male relationships. Yeah. I think if you say something about this movie, it's about male relationships.
Mm-hmm. And the last note I have is I would like to try the Caldwell carrot.
Oh, me too, man.
Oh, God, dude, who the fuck wouldn't?
Yeah. You can't make a joint with 12 papers. You can't make a Caldwell carrot with less than 12 papers.
With less.
Or whatever he says. God. So, yeah, I enjoyed this movie.
All right, so I only got a couple of things. Who was all right? So at the towards the beginning, who was this Jeff guy who got off steroids who has some size of balls?
Oh, Jeff Woad.
Who is that?
He was a shot putter, some kind of English shot putter that was in the newspaper at the time. Was that a real person? I don't think it was.
I don't know.
Oh no, he's talking about it was Jeff spelled with a Geoff, and it's like, oh, did he fucking? Oh, I can't believe it. He's fucking on steroids. Like I have no idea. I don't know who this is. So it's not a real person.
No. So this is him reading in the newspaper about this guy named Jeff Wode, who's apparently some kind of English Olympian or shot putter.
Okay, so but not a real person. Someone
Not a real person.
Okay, all right.
This is someone that like Withnail is reading in the because I think it carries over from the first scene where he's like reading in the newspaper about this guy's sex change, and then COVID. Sorry. In the next scene, he's fucking picking up the paper, and Withnail is like, oh my god, look at this fucking guy. England's going to shit. There's some guy named Jeff Wode who's taking steroids, and instead of being an asshole anymore like he was, his wife says he's all better now because he's, his balls are getting massive.
His moods are great.
Yeah.
And his balls are huge.
Steroids have done the opposite of what every steroid has done to mankind.
But that was the thing. Like normally steroids make your balls tiny. He's like,
exactly.
Imagine the size of his balls. And it's like, what? No, they'd be smaller, not huge.
Follow me on this. Jeff Wode, right? It reminds me of In Bruges, where it's like Ramschrot 17. That's Rom, like
not
Ram, but with an extra A. And I feel like Jeff Wode, it's spelled like wood, but it's pronounced Wode.
Yeah.
Alcoves. Are you familiar with this term? Alcoves?
Yeah, alcoves, yeah.
Yeah, in the Cunningham Natural
Yes,
Park.
alcoves.
Anyway.
Great movie. That's where my wife and I honeymooned in Bruges.
Bruges.
In Bruges,
I
yeah.
hope you guys got some chocolate.
We went to the hotel where they filmed in Bruges. Because,
I'm super jealous, man. I'd love to do that.
it was cool.
My gun gets nicked. My best mate tries to kill me, and we're still in fucking Bruges.
It's still in fucking Bruges. And the buildings and all that, but okay.
And the buildings and all of that. I like that Harry's uncle is all talking about vegetables. Like, oh yeah, I've got these great vegetables. He's just fat as fuck. It's like, how many vegetables do you eat, dude?
Dude, they talk about
He's pushing 400
flowers being
pounds.
prostitutes for the bees.
Yes.
I love that line.
He's
That's
so
like,
eccentric.
oh my god. Flowers, the prostitutes
They're
for the
just
bees.
prostitutes for the bees, but the carrots, they stay underground or whatever.
See, that's novel writing. That's not regular movie script writing. That's writing that came from a novel.
And this book is very much written like a novel, I feel like. Even with the Jeff Wode things and stuff like that, it's like little things that you kind of have to, like you were saying, you have to watch it multiple times and you'll pick up on something probably. Yeah.
All of Marwood's internal monologues are beautiful.
Yeah, they're great.
Beautifully written.
Yeah.
I mean, he
very
uses
eloquently written.
The first time he says a stop clock always tells the time right twice a day.
Stop clock is always right twice
a day. Yeah, that's the first time I think I've ever heard that phrase. I mean, I've heard it something
A million times
frequently,
since then. Yeah.
but like I think that's the first time I ever heard that phrase in a film.
So I can't believe that Withnail let that poacher in the pub have a wheeze off his fag.
I kind of was surprised by that too. I mean, but what surprised me even
He just
more,
grabbed it from him. I'm gonna have a wheeze off your fag.
I'm glad you brought up the poacher because I was going to say we didn't talk about Jake, the threatening poacher, throughout the entire movie. Oh, Jakey's back, isn't he?
Is he a serial killer?
I didn't take him to actually be a serial killer. I think he was just actually trying to bring them hair after the next couple days.
So, like, okay, he's very confusing in his behavior because initially when they meet him, he's got fucking every animal known to man hidden
Stuffed
in
in
his
his
coat.
pockets,
He's
yeah.
literally got fucking eels stuffed in his pants, and he's just like, "Hey, can we buy one of those off?" He's like, "No, I don't think so."
These eels are for my pot. That pheasant's for his pot.
I got nothing for
And
you.
I gotta fill your pot too.
And I think I'm gonna come over to your farm and fucking murder you. Like, no, like he's got every fucking animal known to man, and he refuses to sell them anything. It's very strange.
I think it's even stranger that they're actually threatened by him because he seemed pretty jovial through that whole exchange.
Yeah, but as I was
He's
sitting
also
here-
very big.
he's big, but like, I mean, look at Marwood trying to face down that bull. He had no
Well,
problem with that.
Think about it this way.
Didn't
This
have
is the
no
way that
problem with it.
that I am choosing to think of it now, as I
Okay.
just sat here. Is they met Jake, the poacher, when they were super drunk in that pub
That's
right
true.
before it was about to close, and he said, they had that confrontation where I'm not going to give you anything, and then he said, maybe I'll bring you a hair or whatever in the next couple of days. So maybe just think about yourselves being drunk at a bar. Maybe all they remembered was the bad, the fear from that interaction.
That's true.
And then forgot that he said, well, I'm still going to bring that to you. And then I'm the same way. If I was staying in a countryside house and I knew that I got in a confrontation with someone, and then they were walking outside of my place, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go talk to them. I'm going to wait and see what happens. They're probably there to kill me. But really, he was probably just a good guy trying to give them a fucking rabbit.
I don't know, man, because he wasn't. Because he literally was hiding every fucking rodent known to man in England in his suit, and he was like, no, nothing for you.
Yeah, but he had already caught his fill for the bar people and his own self, you know?
All right, okay.
I felt Danny much more menacing. I couldn't trust Danny at any point in this film.
Yeah. Why are you in my bed? Get out in 10 minutes because I'm getting in it.
He said some smart things, but yeah, I couldn't trust Danny in this film. I mean, he just, I don't know, he skews me out a little bit. I would hang out with him, but not overnight.
Yeah.
I've been saying about Keenan for years.
Yeah, there needed to be a joke like that made. I'm glad someone did.
Do you know what time it?
Skid up.
Do you know what time it is?
It's time for Tipsy Trivia.
Pretty good. Pretty close, I think. This is the portion of the podcast where we have 5 trivia-based questions from the film. If the 2 contestants get 3 of the 5 correct, I have to shotgun a beer and they don't. And if they get less than 3 correct... No, wait, I said that wrong. Anyway, we're all going to end up shotgunning.
Well, yeah, probably.
Number 1.
Nummer eins.
This film prompted the family of a very famous deceased musician to limit his songs and how they were used in feature films. Which is the deceased rocker? I wrote that very weirdly.
Wait a minute. Do we get is this a multiple choice?
No,
or?
this should be pretty easy, though.
I'm going to say George Harrison.
This film prompted the family of a very famous deceased musician to limit how his songs were used in feature films.
Oh.
Who is the deceased rocker?
Oh, Jimi Hendrix, actually.
It's either Hendrix or Harrison, so I'm going to go with... There's 2 Jimi Hendrix songs in this film, so I'm going to go with Hendrix.
Okay.
But you said Harrison was a producer, so I think they would have been down for it. I'm going to say Jimi Hendrix.
I'm going to say... that. You said George Harrison?
I'm saying Hendrix.
But you said that... Okay.
But you guys said George Harrison was
a producer,
Just clarify, right?
Give me your answers one more time. Is
Hendrix.
Hendrix? Both
Yeah.
people? All right.
Yeah.
It was Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Apparently, his parents didn't like the fact that his music was being associated with drug use so much. They were like, hey.
Are you fucking kidding me?
After his death, they're like, hey, we don't want his songs being used.
After his death of, he overdosed,
drowned in his own
on
vomit.
acid?
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know, maybe that's why maybe that's part of why the Voodoo Child was so striking to me too, because I haven't heard a lot of Jimi Hendrix in movies, Vietnam War movies.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That's why
they started limiting.
This was back
the
in
use.
'89. His parents were like, hey, we don't want Jimi Hendrix associated with drug use. And I want to be like, hey, it's too fucking late.
I saw something that his producer was there or something and could have kind of Walter Whited him, kind of could have made him not puke on his or choke on his puke.
Whoa, hold on. Whoa, what?
Sounds like a producer.
Maybe that was Barry White though. Or,
Barry White's alive, dude.
No, who's the guy that sings "Let's Get It On"? Marvin Gaye.
Barry White.
Al Green.
Let's Get It On is
Oh, no,
Barry
Marvin
White.
Gaye.
And
Marvin
he's
Gaye.
alive.
You're
No, that's
right.
Marvin Gaye.
Right?
We're all sensitive people. Anyway,
All
somebody.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. It's Marvin Gaye.
Anyway, somebody could have saved. They could have Walter Whited him. Anyway,
Marvin Gaye's also still alive, I think.
numbers 5.
Oh, no. Marvin Gaye got murdered by his dad.
Yeah. Okay, so Jimi Hendrix, producer, could have saved him, I think. Look it
Okay.
up. Romania will know what I'm talking about.
Number 2, true or false? Robert E. Grant had never consumed alcohol. This is the guy who played.
Richard
True,
E. Grant.
True. I knew
Oh, yeah,
this.
you're right.
I knew this.
Yeah.
I knew this to be the case. True.
Wait, so he had never consumed alcohol prior to this film?
It's Richard E. Grant. You're right. I wrote Robert. Yeah, Richard E. Grant had never consumed alcohol before playing his character in this film. It is true.
I'm gonna say true.
Mike is right.
I'll say true, too.
So what he did was he actually got drunk for the first time to understand what it was like to be drunk and how to play the character, and he did a good job.
I'd say he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I thought so.
Pretty
Pretty good.
pretty good.
Richard, if you need more studies, come hang out with me.
Yeah. Number 3, true or false? The Camberwell carrot had to be rolled by someone who is not in the production staff.
Oh.
I would probably say. Well, so here's the thing. So Ralph Brown, that played Danny. Fun fact: he showed up to the audition for this film looking just and it's sounding just like he did. So that's the way he got the character. So I'm gonna say, I don't know. I kind of want to say false because I want to believe that Ralph Brown could just roll a joint like that. But that's just me. I'm gonna say false.
Just to be contrarian, I will say true.
So in a way, you both are wrong. The answer is false, but it's not because he rolled it. The props department didn't even know how to properly roll a joint that big. But whoever was the sound maintenance engineer was like, I can do it. And he did it.
Oh,
So
good
we-
for that guy.
Okay.
So, you know,
What, he wasn't part of the production staff, though? If he was on the sound maintenance?
no, he was on sound.
Okay.
I don't. Fuck you, Keenan.
I would consider sound production. No,
Yeah, I would too. I probably worded that fucking question not right.
I think sound's the most important part of a film.
It's one of the most important parts for sure.
I mean, if I can't hear anything, then the visuals mean nothing to me.
When I meant production, I meant physical production, like props, set building,
Okay.
stuff like
Anything related
I-
to making a movie that doesn't have to do with sound.
that. I completely. I think that was my bad. I worded the question not great. Number 4. Which actor was originally considered to play the part of Withnail? Withnail.
Oh man.
Was it A, Daniel Day-Lewis, B, Jack Nicholson, C, Gary Oldman, or D, Pete Postlethwaite?
Postlethwaite? He died. That's the
He
guy
did.
from
James and the Giant Peach.
James and the Giant Peach, and also
The
Jurassic
Town.
Park, The Lost
Yeah.
World.
Oh, clever girl.
Well, not Clever
Oh.
Girl. No, not Clever Girl. He was the guy in the second one who was like the hunter that only wanted the T-Rex, and he had like this bald head. And
No, that's the first one, dude.
no, that's the second one.
Definitely the first one.
Second one for sure.
Clever girl. That's him.
No, that's not Pete Postlethwaite.
Oh,
Look it
you're
up.
right, it's
no,
not.
it's the second one because he's the guy that's
They
like,
do look similar.
They do look similar. I do agree. They do look similar.
All
They're
right.
just like British people.
So, which actor was
They all-
originally considered to play the
Oh,
part
man.
of Withnail? Daniel Day-Lewis, Jack Nicholson, Gary Oldman, or Pete Postlethwaite?
I'm gonna say it's between Gary Oldman and Daniel Day-Lewis, but God, I mean, I think so for this film, for being the first Bruce Robinson film, I'm gonna say Daniel Day-Lewis only because he's probably reaching for the stars at this point.
Okay.
In 89, yeah, My Left Foot and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Daniel Day-Lewis.
I'm sorry, give him to me one more time.
Daniel Day-Lewis, Jack Nicholson, Gary Oldman, or Pete Postlethwaite?
Yeah, I like to.
Postlethwaite.
I'm going to go with Gary Oldman.
See, Keenan, I would have said Gary Oldman too. It was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day. He's a good actor.
It was DDL.
I like your logic for that because he probably was just grasping at straws.
He's gonna go for someone that he probably couldn't get.
All right, boys, you both will get this. You already know it. Number 5. Much of the film's promotional and DVD art.
Ralph Steadman.
Yes, thank you.
Hunter S. Thompson.
And we'll give that to you.
Wait, read the question for the Romanian.
Yeah, now I feel bad. Now I feel it's like
That's
an
okay.
asshole.
That's okay. Much of the film's promotional and DVD art was designed by which famous Gonzo artist?
Ralph Steadman.
It's not multiple choice.
Yeah. The poster or like the image on HBO Max is not the Ralph Steadman.
It's not. No, that's what I watched.
None
on too, is HBO Max.
of the promotional material I saw. Because I know I can see what Ralph Steadman. Obviously, he has a very specific
style,
and I didn't see any of that in any of it.
Yeah, no, it's that's mostly I think the Criterion collection that.
And I'm kind of pissed off it
on that.
wasn't. I think it should have been. I think it would have been better.
Yeah, but we should take this opportunity to say this movie is free on HBO Max to people that have HBO Max. So
Now that we're-
it's not free, but as long as you have HBO
You're gonna
Max,
pay someone to watch this.
start a
film.
7-day free trial.
An
Fuck
hour
it.
and a half in, you
Yeah.
can watch this on HBO Max.
Is this movie worth it? Let me ask you guys this. Is this movie worth starting a 7-day free trial to watch?
Yeah.
I think anything is worth
Yeah,
7-day
absolutely.
free.
Yeah.
Anything is worth free.
This will take an hour and a half, 7 days. Fuck, you can watch Game of Thrones in that amount of time. You know, that's
if you're
on
really
HBO
dedicated,
Max.
you could really
The
watch
entire
it.
series?
The Sopranos, maybe. Yeah, if you don't do
Not
anything
both.
else.
Not
Yeah, not all of them, but you know.
I would say Sopranos is worth the paid version of HBO Max.
Yeah, I agree
yeah.
with that. I would agree
Sopranos, having it at your fingertips anytime you want is worth paying $7 a month.
Let's be honest. Sopranos was the original. They paved the path for the golden age of television. I mean, that was the first television show where it was must-see TV, not in the way like fucking Dancing with the Stars is, like in a way that it was dramatic television that had cinematic value. It felt like a movie, but it was, an hour each week. Like The Sopranos is fantastic.
Worth watching if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, sorry. So, but bottom line, if you don't have HBO Max, you can start a free trial. Watch Sopranos.
Yeah, bottom line is
but watch
don't
Withnail
watch
and I
this
too.
film. I mean, watch it eventually.
No, watch this
you're
film.
You're going to, sit down and watch something, Watch
like,
Sopranos,
Once you
The
watch
Wire.
The Sopranos, and watch Sopranos, watch The Wire. Once you've had this fucking subscription for a few months, then watch this movie.
Yeah, this is a good movie to watch, like, a few months after.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, if you want to listen to this podcast, you haven't jumped on HBO yet, jump on HBO. Not that we're getting sponsored by them.
Drinking Buddies.
This is the portion of the podcast where we choose a character from the film that we would get irresponsibly drunk, shit-faced, shivoed with. Keenan, who's your drinking buddy?
I think there's only one answer to this whole.
There is. We
There's
should all
only
pick.
one
We should all just say it.
Can we just say it on the count of 3?
1, 2, 3.
Danny.
Juice.
Oh wait.
Oh,
what?
I'm sorry. What?
What?
Oh, Danny. Yeah, Danny. That's what I meant. Yeah,
Danny.
Well, yeah, no, I usually pick the stoner characters in movies, and, Danny is definitely, he's going to give me some uppers, he's going to give me some downers, maybe some screamers, maybe, if I'm lucky,
some laughers.
Maybe he'll give you that $2 fucking
The embalmer.
the embalmer.
Yeah.
I actually think Danny, too, is probably, I mean, aside from Marwood, he's probably the most intelligent character on the show. I mean,
Really, at the end of the movie, because when they get back to London, I was like, how is there still 15 minutes left of this? But then Danny's last speech really gives the whole point of the movie.
I agree.
Like we've got 90
talked,
days left in this decade, and we haven't done what we wanted to do.
So what I like about Danny is that he does a great job of intellectualizing stupid thoughts, if that makes sense. Like he says nothing and nothing great, but he does it in such an intellectual and great way that makes it entertaining and fun.
The way he delivers stuff and the
Yeah.
way he looks, you think to look at him like this guy's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, like
but once you hear what he says, it's
he's
like
a moron. Like he's communicating stupid ideas, but he's doing it in such a great intellectual way. You're like, okay.
no,
Yeah.
I read the legal papers, mate. They can't evict you.
Well, okay, that's not a
pours
great.
this-
That's a great fucking example of what
I
I'm
know,
trying
but
to
I'm
say.
just saying. I believed him at that point. I was like, "Fuck it! If they can't evict me, if Danny says it, I believe him."
there is some strange British politics in this film too, like talking about the Labour Party and the Tory Party.
It's very British. Yeah,
Which I have
it's
no
very
idea.
British.
I
I
had no
mean,
idea about
this
that.
movie is very British.
Yeah, I mean, if you there's some things that kind of just went over my head in terms of British politics, and there's things that I kind of phased out on a little bit.
Overall, worth watching though. I think if you like
I
Fear
think
and Loathing
so.
in Las Vegas, worth checking out.
Speaking of that, moving on to Rotten Tomatoes over under.
Ooh.
I will set the critics at a 95%.
Now, really, you're setting it at a 95.
Set at a 95%.
I gotta guess over if you're setting it at 95.
I'm gonna guess.
95?
Well, I know what it is. I think
Okay.
I know what it is, and so I think it's. For me personally, it's under that.
Me personally, it's under that too.
For me personally, it's under that. I think the critics are under that too, but that's only because I know what it is. But yeah,
What is it then?
94.
Okay.
Critics at 94%. Audience, I will also set at a 95%.
Under.
for me, this is like a nostalgic movie. It's like a nostalgic movie for an era I wasn't a part of,
Yeah.
which is always a weird thing. But just like Apocalypse Now, I love
Great
the
movie.
aesthetic of
It's a great
that
movie.
film. Anything that was filmed to be set in the 60s or the early 70s, to me, just feels right. So that to me, that's why this film means so much to me, is because I don't know. It's like I want to be there. I want to hang out with these people.
Yeah.
I want to be
Brings
in that
you
era.
back to a time that makes you feel good.
Yeah, that I wasn't a part of, but I think I could have been a part of.
So that being said, over or under?
Under for sure. I mean,
Yeah, it's 94.
Yeah.
Both at 94. Audience and critics at 94.
Damn, that's high rated.
So,
I'm surprised by that.
which brings to the IMDb. IMDb is a
5.8.
okay.
I know what it is too, but I still think for me it's under a 7. But and it is under a 7.
No, it's not. It's a 7.7.
Oh, I thought it was
Really?
under a 7. Okay,
On IMDb,
all right,
7.7.
all right. For me, it's under a 7. For me, it's like 6.8.
I give this my Real Buzz ranking is exactly a 6.8.
Yeah.
That's what I gave it. What's your Real Buzz ranking, Keenan?
7.2.
Okay.
I would like to get drunk with those guys.
I think it hovers around a 7 for.
Yeah, I
the,
agree with
the
that.
writing is fantastic. I think
Yeah.
the writing's great. I think.
I think the big thing I have against it is editing. I think it could have been cut better.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think the writing's fantastic. I think the acting is great. I think the comedy's very funny.
So if we were only doing a 10-point scale, 1 through 10, and not doing decimals, I think we would all agree it's a 7.
7.
then.
I'd
Yep.
say a 7.
Seven.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
sure,
think that's
for
great.
Sure. I think it's interesting. Like, as I watched this film recently on a flight here, I had like really nice headphones on, and the sound editing is so terrible on this film.
Yeah.
Well, bro, it was 89.
It was 89, but it
was 89 with a very low budget.
But it worries me to like rewatch films that I watched as a kid to listen to it in like high quality
you
sound.
can't.
Well,
Yeah, you
as
can't
we've
do
learned
that,
on this
man.
podcast.
But like I
You
don't
have to
know.
understand. You have to contextualize what's happening. You have to understand that what you're listening to was made in a different time, and the quality of audio you're hearing is that's insane. You can't judge a movie's audio or anything they do from an audio perspective based on what you're hearing in this high quality headphones that you have. Like this is fucking made in '89.
Yeah.
Like
and all that being said from Robbie, this is the same guy that doesn't consider sound part of production.
well, I'd like the callback, but that's not what I meant.
But you know what? It's interesting that you say that because so many people are watching. Like today, I watched this film for the umpteenth time on my phone.
So,
and to
Mike,
do that,
I would like to ask you, what turned you onto this film, and what made this film something that stuck with you from a nostalgic standpoint? Like, what brought this film to you?
So the reason that I got into this film to begin with is because of Keenan for the most part.
Okay.
Because I got into Hunter S. Thompson because of Keenan, and I watched Fear
You
and
and me both.
Loathing.
Yeah, you
yeah,
and me both.
exactly.
Yeah.
So Keenan is our catalyst for gonzo journalism, and
Yeah.
so we.
I agree with that.
I started devouring things that were Hunter-esque or Gonzo-esque, as you could say, and. This film was in that realm of like stuff that you would watch if you liked Hunter S. Thompson. And
Yeah, Stedman
people that
did the
were-
art. I think there's very shades of Fear and Loathing in
Bruce
this movie,
Robinson was
yeah.
obviously influenced by some of the stuff that
In the
Thompson
writing, I
wrote.
think there's shades of Fear and
For
Loathing.
sure, for sure, yeah.
Other than that, I don't see any other than the fact that they're alcoholics. Like, and they smoke weed at the end, but I don't see shades of Fear and Loathing other than Hunter. I don't see shades of Hunter other than in the writing. And funny, Ken, you remember when we watched? We were very young. We went to the Unicorn downtown. We watched the documentary about Hunter.
Gonzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it was just released, it was like being released to the independent theaters, and we went and watched it. And I think you were sick.
Yeah, I had the flu real bad.
Yeah, I think you were
Big
vomiting
time.
and shit.
Yeah.
And good movie. But remember, I was weird because my dad's a huge Jimmy Buffett guy. I was like, oh, dude, Hunter stayed in Jimmy Buffett's house for like a couple. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. It was also a really interesting film.
Yeah.
Like you realize that Hunter ran for
sheriff
in Aspen.
County, yeah.
And he was kind of a liberal but a gun nut at the same time. Like it was interesting. Hunter was a super interesting. Not to get too off topic, but Hunter was a really interesting character, really interesting guy. Obviously pioneered a completely new form of journalism, a new form of writing in general that has never been replicated at all.
Yeah.
And God bless him. Rest in peace. I think he's one that will never be replicated and one that we'll never see again.
For sure. I think it was with this film too, even aside from the Hunter influences, are like, this is kind of a guy's movie. It's kind of
I don't know that it is.
To me, it is because it's like you want to have.
It's a movie about guys.
It's a movie about guys, but it would be great to have this relationship with someone that you can
it's a movie.
just fuck around with.
Yeah, if you were pining for someone like a best friend, yeah, it'd be a great movie. But it's not a guy. Like Die Hard's a guy movie. This is a movie. It has too much emotional depth and fucking character development, and it's not a guy movie, but it's a movie about guys.
That's a great guy movie, is like one that develops male relationships. Like I love the fact that they have kind of this complex relationship where
that's not the normal guy. Normal guy.
That's a cerebral kind of take.
This movie's more cerebral, but like
for sure.
But guys want to see fucking Die Hard. Guys want to see.
I mean, I love Die Hard too.
No, I do too. But this, I wouldn't say this is a guy movie.
I would say it's a quintessential road movie. And a road movie to me is like, this adventure movie. Like
I can get on board with that.
Movie, and I see it as that, maybe.
All right. Well, hey, Mike, thank you so much for coming in and doing
this. Of course, man. This has been fucking great, man.
Flew all the way out from New York just for this.
Flew out from New York, Michigan Mike.
On the podcast. You know what's crazy is Real Buzz Takes is actually paying for the airfare and the hotel, and they flew me out here just for this. That's how much money they're making.
We don't fuck around, man. 4 stars for your hotel, by the way.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Romania.
You're welcome.
Thank you, God. I mean, I've never stayed at a Four Seasons before.
We're lucky we called you to come out here. I can't believe it.
It's either a Four Seasons or a 4 Points. I can't remember what it is. But either way, I mean, it's a great hotel.
Well, thank you again for listening to another edition of Real Buzz Takes. We are the Real Buzz crew. Mike, take us out.
All right, so I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to thank my wife.
We are the Real Buzz crew, and we review the best of the worst for you.
This concludes our broadcast day.
We must have it.
Get the